think we're live. Hello everyone. I'm streaming through OBS at the moment. I hope the sound's coming out okay. I think it is. So that before I get on to the article I'm going to do, I will put it soon, and I hope chat will be okay. Tell me about the new layout. I will modify it as it goes along. So this is just a small sample, and see how it goes. I'm going to actually bring up the article that we are currently doing, and it is this one. This with my new monitor, which I have it in. There's a program which it splits the screen. I think it can work for me. So let's see how you guys like it. Now, the chat should be appearing at the bottom, and it is scrolling. It is scrolling. Excellent, excellent. I just have to. I hope the sound's okay. But that I can check myself through my my mobile phone, which I have at the moment. Which is quite nice when you have mobile. Until I get my yep, sounds fine. So let's get on with the article. With my new thing, I can watch you guys and the chat and easily answer, and I can also scroll up and down. So we're going to talk about a new study which was published 15th of March in Cell. The actual study is behind a paywall. It only has the introduction, more or less, what the introduction and so on. So but it's there. It's a study, and I've included 2 articles in the description, so you guys can read. And is that modern humans interbred with Denisovans twice in history. Who are the Denisovans, you might add? The Denisovans are an archaic human cousins of ours, a subspecies of Homo sapiens, which we discovered not too long ago. He's a new human, and they possibly, we still don't know a lot about them, because the only genetic material we have are from 2 or 3 small little bones which were discovered in the Altai Mountains in Siberia, specifically in the Denisova cave in central Siberia. I've talked about them before, so you guys can have a look at my videos, which I've talked about them. So let's get on with it. So modern humans coexisted and interbred not only with Neanderthals, but also with another species of archaic humans, the mysterious Denisovans. Yes, they are mysterious because we have very little to go on about. There are some possibly there are some fossil skull, fossil bones, fossil artifacts, and so on. Fossils of the, who knows, they may be Denisovans. There's as they existed around 100 and something thousand to about 100,000 more or less is what Denisovan is. 50,000 also Denisovan, and could be even earlier, closer to us. But then go back to my video on Denisovan, because I can't remember it out of hand. But in China they possibly have some artifact of some fossils that, who knows, they could be Denisovans. How they look like, they would have been very archaic. They would have been very similar to Neanderthals, most likely. So that's with possibly the sloping forehead, brow ridges, etc. Hello everyone. Hello John. Hello, buonasera Giovanna. And let's continue. So the researchers unexpectedly discovered 2 distinct episodes of Denisovan genetic intermixing or admixing between the 2. This suggests that a more diverse genetic history than previously thought between the Denisovans and modern humans. Well, just to go so we'll know, Neanderthal, all humans that are not Africans, out of Africa, have at least some Neanderthal DNA in their admixture. I have a 3.3, about 3.5%, more or less. There are a couple of measurement scales. One go up to 3%, another one goes up to 5%. Mine is the 3 to 5%, the 5% one. So that's my genetic material. I know that I have that much Neanderthal in me because I participated in 1991 in the Human Genome Project. I sent my DNA to the Human Genome Project, and I got back that other thing I'm mostly Celt, some then Germanic and Roman, more or less equal. Then very the 3.5% Neanderthal and 0.08% other. So that's more or less my just a brief of my genetic makeup. When it's Roman, it's Iberian, and etc. Because it doesn't go into such detail as the new ones, but it was good enough for me. So in the paper published in March 15th in Cell, I have linked to that paper. It unfortunately, as I said, it's behind a paywall. Scientists at the University of Washington in Seattle determined that the genomes of two groups of modern humans with their Denisovan ancestry, individuals from Oceania and individuals from East Asia, are uniquely different, indicating there were two separate episodes of Denisovan admixture. We know that in Oceania there is a higher concentration of Denisovan DNA. I've talked about that before. And there is less extent in other areas, for example, Eastern Asia, China, more or less, Eastern Asia up in the north. But this study shows, which we'll get in, I'm going ahead of myself. What was already known that Oceanian individuals, notably the Papua New Guinea above Australia, and possibly Australian Aborigines as well, because they are basically related, have significant amount of Denisovan ancestry. Says senior author Sharon Browning, the research professor of biostatistics at the University of Washington School of Public Health. The genome of modern Papuan individuals contain approximately 5% Denisovan ancestry. That's the 5%. That's a scale that I don't know the scale that she's using. The scale that I got back is between 0 and 5%. 0 is 100%. The maximum of 5% is the maximum that any human DNA human has Neanderthal DNA in. I was in 3.5%, so a bit above average, which is not bad. So researchers also knew Denisovan ancestry is present to a lesser degree throughout Asia, and also into the Americas, because after all, to a less extent, the DNA of the Americans are obviously less, but we know that there was a northern Asian population that was the stock that populated the Americas, the Amerindians. Oh, that's the correct term. Hello, Beach, sweetie. So after studying more than 5,600 whole genome sequences from individuals from Europe, Asia, America, and Oceania, and comparing them to the Denisovan genome, Browning and her colleagues determined that the Denisovan genome is more closely related to modern East Asian populations than to the modern Papuans. So most of the DNA from Denisovans that we have in the world are closer to the East Asians. They are the Chinese mostly, and so on, Japanese, Koreans, etc., etc. Whose team relied on genomic information from the UK 10K project, the 1000 Genomes project, and the Simmons Genome Diversity project. I don't know of these projects, but they came after, obviously, the Human Genome Project, which I was involved in. I gave my DNA to that study. So when we compare pieces of DNA from the Papuans against the Denisovan genome, many sequences were similar enough to declare a match. But some of the DNA sequence in East Asians, notably the Han Chinese, the Dai Chinese, the Japanese, were much closer matched to the Denisovan from the Denisovan cave. It's in the study. I've read part of the study, and I've read another article which I've linked to it. It's basically what they're trying to explain here is this. They've got the genomic sequence, and then they plotted it. Obviously, there's in this other article, which is a bit longer than this one, it shows the diagrams, and they plotted them so you can see where in the scale that the genomes cluster in. The classical Neanderthals from modern humans, you see at one end, and on the other end you see the Denisovans when they did that. But then when they compared the Papuans, it's in I'll link the article in the description, so you guys should look at it because it's educational. As you guys know, I love to get you guys to read my stuff. So when they're getting back to it, when they compared then the Papuans, instead of having the two clumps or more or less Denisovan and the scale Denisovan and less Neanderthal, they found that they had the initial Denisovan, but they also had another bump, another concentration, which indicates that it was another population of Denisovans which were slightly distinct genomically to the original ones from the Denisovan cave. That is basically what the study shows, and that other article shows. But the other article we would have been here for about an hour or two to discuss it. So I've chosen this one from a Peer Plus One physics org, which is succinct and it's quite interesting enough. So what we know about the Denisovan ancestry comes from a single set of archaic human fossil found in the Altai Mountains, Siberia. Like I said before, that individual genome was published in 2010. See, it's only 8 years old. And when we discovered them, 11 years old, that's when we discovered them, about 11 to 12 years ago. And other researchers quickly identified segments of the Denisovan ancestry in several modern human populations, most significantly with individuals from Oceania and also in East and South Asians. So the assumption that the admixture with Denisovans occurred fairly quickly after humans moved out of Africa around 50,000 years ago, but we do not know what terms of location. Well, I've already established that humans left Africa. Us, when I say humans, I mean modern humans, sapiens left Africa in various waves. Once around 200,000, another time around 100,000, and the last one around 70,000 years ago. And it doesn't take long to traverse a long distance. I've made a calculation and a sort of a formula that if you move, and not intentionally, but if you expand if you just dislocate your camp 2 kilometers per year, right, it will only take 7,500 years to go from Ethiopia to Australia, which is 15,000 kilometers. This is the most simplistic site catchment analysis movement that I can that I've done. It is simplistically made. It just pure maths, but of course it doesn't work that way. There are many factors that go into it, multi-variable factors, the terrain, the natural disasters. There's a whole swathe, but ideally it can be done. Just pointing it out. So So going forward, the researchers plan to study more Asian populations and others throughout the world, including Native Americans and Africans. Africans will not contain neither, they will contain now because of the admixture from non-African populations, European, Asian, etc., etc. But in general, with the into Africa type admixing. So Africans will not contain neither Neanderthal nor Denisovan DNA locally, but Americans will. The Amerindians will. We want to look throughout the world to see if we can find evidence of interbreeding with other archaic humans. We have two examples. Dr. Browning. For now, I hope you do find another one. I am so excited to find if they find another. So there are signs of intermixing with archaic humans was occurring in Africa. Well, we'll see. The archaic humans, not Neanderthals or Denisovans. I don't know what she's talking about. But given the warmer climate, no one has yet found African archaic human fossils with significant DNA for sequencing. That is true. And I'm not going to speculate on that. I hope they find something. Oh man, I wish I found something. It would just be brilliant. So, we've come to the end of the article. I'm going to put this back up. My intro. I hope you guys like it. It's also my outro until I make another outro. But I'm not very happy with this. But it has just made this on a run. There is music to it. I'm gonna see if you guys like it. No, it's crappy music. I'm going to shorten this because it's long. So yes, all this plays. I can answer some questions because this is quite long anyway. It is good. So let's see. Hello Pete, hello John, and hello Giovanna. 3 people. So let's see. No, she's not talking about the hobbits. Oh yes, the actual hobbits, but not the hobbits from the Island of Flores. Any questions you guys want to have? I've got another few minutes. Let's see. I'm not playing the music. Or am I playing the music? Oh shit. I'll turn it off. Sorry guys. I know what. There we go. Sorry guys. That music, I thought it wouldn't be playing. But unfortunately it was playing. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Sorry about that. I thought I took out the music. I didn't realize it was playing. I'm gonna edit this intro outro thing much better to make it more succinct without the music. The music was just a little experiment. I forgot to take it out anyway. So she's not talking about the hobbits from the island of Flores. She's possibly talking about she's not talking about those hobbits. Bilbo Baggins would disapprove. So I'm sorry about the music. By the way, how did you guys like the music anyway? I use that music soundtrack. It's free, so I can play it. I won't get any copyright strike. And it was in the video which I made for an intro when I I can fix that as well. So, but I want to take it out. I don't want music. I want this as an intro outro without the music. So, yes, I understood. Yes, thank you, Giovanna. Well, I'm going to leave it here, guys. I think it was gone on enough. It was quite interesting. I hope you guys like this this article which I had, and we will see you in the next program. Okay, guys. Bye bye.